As a health psychologist, the mind-body connection is something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about and studying and teaching people about. And I think it's a very important thing to understand, especially when we're thinking about the physiological symptoms that we have in our bodies in response to stress. So we'll start off by thinking about, okay, well, what is the mind-body connection? And the mind-body connection really is the idea that our mental states influence our physical well-being and health, and then it's bidirectional, so the concept of our physical health and our physical experiences influencing our mental health. An important concept to understand when thinking about the mind-body connection, especially in the context of anxiety or depression, is to think about the fight or flight response, which is really what we're talking about is the activation of what we call the sympathetic nervous system. So our central nervous system has two main systems, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. And when we're talking about the fight or flight response, that's our body's response to a threat within our environment. So the most common example is a saber-toothed tiger appears in front of us, and our bodies quickly have to decide, am I gonna fight this tiger or am I gonna run away quickly? And the parts of our bodies that sort of get amped up in that situation are all regulated by the sympathetic nervous system. So that system is actually very adaptive because it allows our bodies to say, hey, we have to key up, we have to pay attention, and we have to make a decision here. It's highly adaptive in situations where there's an acute stressor where you actually have to make a decision, do I fight or do I run away? Problem is that many of our modern day stressors aren't necessarily a saber-toothed tiger. They can often be a little bit longer, or they can be recurring in terms of the types of stressors that we have. And when our sympathetic nervous system is amped up chronically over a long period of time, it can really cause problems within our bodies in terms of heightened blood pressure, a compromised immune system, weight gain. The good news is that the parasympathetic nervous system, which doesn't get as much attention when we talk about the fight or flight response, is another part of our central nervous system that allows us to pump the brakes. So within our bodies, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system kind of do a dance to keep us regulated, to keep us sort of chugging along. And the sympathetic nervous system I like to describe as sort of being our stepping on the accelerator, right, in terms of moving us forward. And then the sympathetic nervous system is us pumping the brakes a bit. So the sympathetic nervous system is really important to understand because there's actually things that we can do within our bodies to pump the brakes. We can actually take control of that, especially in the context of chronic prolonged stress. So what can we do to distress? How do we get that parasympathetic nervous system going? How do we start pumping the brakes? The best way to begin to think about pumping the brakes is to think about relaxation exercises. And I think that understanding the link between our central nervous system and the two systems that are within that can help us to sort of really understand, why do relaxation exercises work? Relaxation exercises help us regulate and call upon that parasympathetic pump system. And so something that I like to recommend for my clients when we're first learning how to do relaxation exercises is to look into trying diaphragmatic breathing, which is really deep belly breathing. Deep belly breathing exercises are great because with enough practice, they can actually be very effective, and we can access them anywhere. Anywhere we go, we can take a deep breath. And the result of engaging in these exercises and practicing them regularly is that it allows us to pump the brakes, to gain a bit more control over the parasympathetic nervous system so we can feel calm, we can feel refreshed, and we can move about our stressful situations with a bit more awareness and a bit clearer thinking. It can take some time to learn this skill and to really harness it, but it's worth the investment if it means that we can move forward and cope a bit more effectively with all the things that we have going on in our lives. If you or a loved one is interested in psychotherapy services, please feel free to call us, email us, or visit our website to learn more.